Our next topic covers the overwhelming surge of migrants. The city's chief financial officer estimates the city will have spent up to $20 million caring for migrants by next month, with more than 10,000 migrants arriving in the city. And Denver's spending about $1,000 per week per migrant. Now, the federal government has reimbursed less than $1 million of that, forcing the city to rely on community partnerships to help people. So what more should the city be doing to curb these costs? And Kelly, we'll let you start this question.
Yeah, I got the chance in December when we had the first influx of migrants to volunteer at Rudy Park Rec Center and see firsthand the incredible response our city has conducted. And frankly, we should all be proud of what we've done. But I think, as you point out, Ann, it is not sustainable what we're doing today. So a few things we can do differently. It's estimated about 70% of the migrants coming to our city today are actually trying to get to another city. So this is where I think we have to ask the federal government to start coordinating at the border so we actually get people where they're trying to go and they're not being shuffled around our nation, because that's a huge part of that expense today. But the second reality is we're telling people who are coming here seeking refugee status that it will take months and months, best case probably 6, and years before we know if they receive that status in our nation. And meanwhile, you can't work. My priority will be allowing people to work until they can find out what their status is.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, I was speaking to some of the migrants last week about this, and they'll all tell the same story. Everyone came up to me and said, hey, where can I find a job? Where can I find a place to work? I want to work. What are the options? And at the same time, I have business leaders calling me and saying, hey, I have so many jobs I can't fill. How can I hire those folks? So the only challenge we have right now is we have people in this country who want to work. We have businesses who want to hire them. And we have a federal government who won't get out of the way to let those employers hire those people who want to get to work. And so I would push President Biden and Secretary Mayorkas to say, these folks should have temporary protective status now. They should be able to get to work right now while we're waiting to see what their long-term status is, but it doesn't serve them or us to have them here not able to do what they want, which is to support themselves. And the second is we have to find ways to solve costs as a community. The city doesn't have to do this all on our own. We should reach out to churches and nonprofits and community partners, other regional partners, to say Denver doesn't have to carry all of this cost on our own. We don't have to pay rent at hotels every single night. Where do we have community partners who can help solve this housing? And I think that's a much better way to go about it.
Well, which leads us to our next question. Joe.
Yes, Mike, you'll be leading this one off. How, as mayor, would either of you reach out to our neighboring communities to take some of this burden off of our local nonprofits in the city of Denver, the financial burden of helping these migrants in the short term?
Great question, Joe. And for me, there's a step I do even before that, which is right now I would call El Paso, because right now most of these migrants are coming from El Paso, and they're being put on a bus to Denver with no knowledge they're coming to Denver or no desire to stay in Denver. We could help ease a lot of this pressure by working with El Paso in advance to say, if you have folks that know they're trying to get to Boston or trying to get to Chicago, let's put them on a bus to Chicago in the first place, not come to Denver as a first stop. And then when we know what that volume is, we can work with our neighboring communities to say, all right, what capacity does Denver have? And what capacity could Colorado Springs have? What capacity could Fort Collins have? What capacity could Grand Junction have? This is what we did after the Katrina in New Orleans, and we knew there were refugees coming to Colorado. We partnered in advance. We worked with other municipalities. We identified locations, and we moved people to places where we knew there was staff and support. We can do the same thing here. It just takes a more proactive approach and more regional partnership to make sure we get it done.
Kelly?
Yeah, for me, I'd do what I've already done as a candidate. We have a number of organizations. The Metro Mayor's Caucus, I think, is one of the strongest, that really brings together all of this region's mayors. I've met with a number of mayors in this region, and I talked with them about my homeless plan, and that I believe we actually can't address our unhoused population unless we actually work together. And 7 mayors in the metro area have endorsed my homeless plan and me as a candidate. I would do the same kind of work on issues like this, and frankly other issues that we face, from transportation to air quality to climate issues. We have to do these things as a region. But I would use more than just the Metro Mayor's Caucus. We also have the Colorado Counties Incorporated, CCI. We have the Colorado Municipal League. Those are all structures that are perfectly situated to allow us to come in and begin those partnerships immediately.